Hey, everybody.
Good evening, gamers. Welcome into the Gamers Rose podcast. I'm your host, Joshua J. Alongside me, Wesley Lance.
Wait, hold it. Which way am I gotta go this way.
Yeah, here, let me
I
switch.
can never tell if it's. Oh, I gotta unmirror if I'm gonna show the coffee.
There we go.
One of these days, I will remember to do that before we start recording. Hey, everybody. Y'all lit up the chat like beforehand. That's new. It's kind of cool.
I like it. I
We
like
got
it.
Zeal, we got Michaela, and we got Cody. So it's gonna be cool.
Shout out to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you guys will probably audio in the background a little bit. I do not have a soundproof studio anymore. After moving, I have not got all that set up. So
Hey, Cody. Yeah, it's great having you. I'm glad. Cool that you kind of just randomly came across. That's kind of what we're here for. We're just like anybody who's got a Sunday evening free. We're just here chatting, chilling. Glad you enjoy it.
hopefully you like Xbox. If not, if you like PlayStation, we do talk about that, but not as much just because we're mainly just focused on Xbox. That's mainly what we do, but we do try to talk about a lot of different games.
Well, especially recently, just because we've been talking about like the game showcase and all that stuff.
Right.
Although PlayStation did just drop all of the new games on the new PS Now service, and I have some friends who have PlayStation and they're really loving it. It makes me regret a little bit not getting it just because I have such an affinity for the PS2 era. Like just that whole, I don't know, there was something special about that generation of consoles. The GameCube, PS2, OG Xbox.
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of interesting acronyms. What are you, to which are you referring, Zeal? Oh, yeah. I did not think that one through when we were talking about that. We had like weird, because WND works. Yeah, that just WAD makes me feel weird. Anywho.
No, I agree with you though. There was something special about that era. I mean, that's when I think a lot of people really started gaming together. Especially with the Xbox. I mean, I remember my cousins. I mean, that's all they did. They played together on Halo, the original Halo, the split screen 4-player.
Yeah.
So you got all the little individual boxes.
And I will say, I know that it's mainly just nostalgia. Like that's when I got into games. So of course that's going to feel like, I'm sure my younger brother feels that way about the Wii U, which feels real weird.
I don't like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, but that's probably how, or at least the Wii. But yeah.
Right. But no, you did have a good PlayStation 2 era, then you went to the 360 era, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, and then now we're in the Xbox, Series X, and well, no, because it went to PlayStation 4, I think would be the winner of that one by
well, you
far.
had the PS4, and then the Switch really was that generation.
Right. And then now you have the 5 and the Series
and the
X.
S and X.
But
And maybe
I think
Nintendo will get on the bandwagon sometime. Who knows?
hopefully. I mean, they did come out with that, what is it, UDHD or whatever screen?
Oh, the OLED
the
Switch.
OLED screen, yeah.
Nobody cares. It's literally only $50 more than the original Switch. Like, why even bother at that point?
Well, Cody, if you haven't been here for a super long time and you said you randomly stumbled onto the podcast, what we do is we go through, we talk about a coffee that we both picked out. Usually we had the same coffee, but because of the transition of me moving more southern and he staying more north, we can't really just always team up on the coffee.
I like how you said that like you moved to Alabama. Like you moved.
They talk like I moved to Alabama.
You're
have
in
accents.
Central Indiana versus Northern Indiana.
They have accents, bro.
It is weird though.
Sounds like I moved to Alabama.
Okay, honestly though, I feel like that's all of Indiana except for like where we live. Like where I live, like we're like in a more urban area, so I feel like it's a little bit more generic.
I'm in Indianapolis.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you're way more urban than I am. I have no clue.
But no, I mean, and so we just get different coffees. We'll talk about that, and then we go into the roast of the week where we totally roast a company or a game or a person or
it's gonna
ourselves.
Be fun this week.
Oh yeah. And then we talk about some games. So feel free to type in the chat. If there's something we miss or get wrong, just hey, correct us. We don't care. That goes for everybody. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the coffee. What do you have coffee wise?
So this week I have some Peet's. Oh, it's still mirrored. What? There we go. All right, it's some Peet's Major Dickinson's blend dark roast. The reason it is empty like this is because I have a coffee backlog, because of course I do, because at this point I have a backlog of everything. So I distributed all of the coffee in this. Oh, well, great. We got some bots. That's annoying. Anyway, I distributed all the coffee into separate Ziploc bags and froze it. So this bag is empty, but I have all of it. So it's the Peet's Major Dickinson's Dark. Yeah, we definitely have some. Oh, good. Zeal can take care of it. We're having some bots in the chat for anyone who is not following, and that's really irritating. But anyway, I have Peet's Major Dickinson's Dark Roast Blend. I have had this before. It's one of my like go-to coffees. It's just a good blend. It's probably one of the better coffees you can just buy at the store. Anyway.
I have mine's not like in a bag or nothing like that. Today I just went to Starbucks because it's Father's Day and they have some new coffees that I think are amazing. This one is a grande iced toasted vanilla milk oat shaken espresso.
Oh yeah, the shaken espresso is really good.
I said it milk oat. It's oat
Yeah,
milk
oat. That was weird. Why does your camera keep doing that?
I don't know. It just started last session.
I think it's your blinds. I think if you like closed your blinds because it's trying to adjust to the light back and forth.
Gotcha.
We're professionals. We promise. Give us a second here. No, like close them. Can you like close them all the way?
They are
like
closed. That's closed.
No, that's closed. Oh, damn.
That's closed.
Oh, well, it's gonna keep doing it then. Like you can't get them like. There you go. That'll work. That'll work. That'll work.
No, it won't.
Oh. What is happening?
We'll just have to get it.
Hey, I think Cody's a fellow. So the fact that Cody considers Peet's cheaper coffee shows that he is a coffee aficionado. I talk about like spending $15 on a bag of coffee, and people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "That's kind of the low blend." Oh yeah, this is the blend that Michaela makes at the office every day. So fair warning, I'm pretty familiar with it, but I've never actually reviewed it on the show before. But yeah, no, Cody, you're right. It is a cheaper coffee, but like that's what I was saying. It's probably one of the better ones that you can get just at the store. But yeah, the people I talk to when they're like, "Hey," I feel like we have to just every episode we're just brand ambassador for 3 Avocado. Yeah, Cody, get used to that too. One of our favorite coffees we ever. I feel like this is Cody's episode. We're just gonna talk to him. One of our favorite coffees we've ever reviewed is 3 Avocados, and we mention it like literally every week. But it's really really solid coffee, and it's a nonprofit and it's a good cause. So if you're interested in something new, check it out. Eventually, we need to talk to them about a sponsorship because at this point. Oh, Josh is gone again, and he's back.
No, it's
your camera just keeps.
I didn't move. I didn't move, so I didn't notice it.
It's weirding me out a little bit. It's fine. You just have a Dementor in your office, and you know what? We're gonna stick with it.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Well, let's taste the coffee, and you still want to rate it on the scales?
I think so. I mean, it's a thing that we've been doing for a long time. We might end up. Oh, you have a fancy glass.
I do. I also went the ice route today because it's been so hot this week. Yeah. It's been the high 90s. So
yeah, believe me, I am regretting this right now. I was already sweating because I can't run my fan while we're recording.
Oh shoot!
So I am ingesting very hot coffee. That's good. Okay, so this is interesting. This tastes different than when Michaela makes it at the office. I don't know if it's because Michaela makes a bigger pot all at once. This is not quite as. Thank you, Zeal. Appreciate it. Hey, use promo code GamersMost Podcast for 20%. No, we don't have that. This tastes different than when Michaela makes it at the office. I think it's because I'm making just 1 cup, so it's a little smoother. So I don't know. Maybe just everybody at the office likes it stronger than I do, but this is really, really nice. I can actually get the flavor.
Oh, wow. So, roasting Michaela. So roast of the week this week is Michaela.
The way it is at the office, sometimes it's just a little bitter. It's still really good. And because she asks me all the time, she's like, how's the coffee? And it's really, really good. I guess I just kind of thought that was, Peet's, but I think that's just because when you make it all in one big pot, I think it gets a lot stronger. whereas I use like 3 tablespoons of beans for 1 cup, and that's kind of my preferred way of doing it. Sorry, Michaela, I didn't mean it. I love you.
For those
Michaela's
you
my
don't know,
girlfriend,
that's his
frankly.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah, I
that's his
was gonna say
girlfriend.
it's not just some random
We
it's not
love
just a
all of
secretary.
you. We don't, we don't just love Michaela. We love you all. You're all loved. All
Yeah,
right, bring up the sheet. Let's see.
I have brought
Uh,
it up. All right.
do, 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 do.
So
Boom.
pizza's definitely like good. The problem is it doesn't have a whole lot of like depth of flavor. It's just a smooth, decent coffee.
So it's hard
Oh
with
boy.
rating these things because we have a 1 to 10 with only 0.5s. And so it's hard to really narrow in because there's so many different ways to have coffee: hot coffee, cold coffee, French pressed, drip, coffee. Everything can technically be put in different categories.
Yeah.
So just bear with us if we rate some of these coffees higher than ones that probably shouldn't be. It's how we're feeling in the moment.
Yeah. I'm thinking
Um,
I'm gonna go. This is gonna sound harsh because I talked up Pete's really, really highly. But when it comes to the grand scheme of the coffees we've had, I think I'm gonna put it at like a solid 6.5. Like it is a good blend. It's
yeah.
not the best thing I've ever had.
Michaela just said it could be because I clean the coffee maker, so she's throwing shade right back at you there, Wes.
Wow. I washed out my carafe before I brewed this. Thank you very much.
All right, let's see. I got the 7 Select Vanilla Latte, the Dunkin' Donuts Thin Mint, Starbucks Double Shot White Chocolate at 7.
You're
Some of
spending all
these
your
should really be moved down if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm going to put this one, I want this to be at the bottom of the 7.5.
The bottom of the yeah, no, the shaken espresso is good.
It's yeah,
Starbucks
it's really
toasted
it's the best Starbucks drink I
vanilla,
think I got.
oat milk, shaken espresso. Oh my word. Starbucks, how many words can you fit into one drink name? What is it? That
It's
is a
grande.
6. Oh, sorry. We got to make sure that the size is in there too. Because apparently that's a thing that we need to care about. All right. Whoop. It went away. I'm
Let's say
back. Hi,
goodbye.
everyone. We've had some technical issues today. My laptop, right before we started streaming, was just like, you know what doesn't exist anymore? Internet. And like, I couldn't even run the the troubleshooter or anything. It was just like, yep, the troubleshooter doesn't exist either. And I was like, okay, it's fine.
Um, all right, so let's go ahead and get into the roast of the week. And like you said, it is a bit of a heavy one, so bear with us
Yeah.
through it.
So for anybody who is unfamiliar with the ongoing saga that is Activision Blizzard, quick recap. Over I don't know if it was last year or whatever, over the past year or so, there have been growing investigations and awareness that Activision Blizzard, not a great place to work, especially if you're a woman. So the EEOC, California EEOC, has done some EEOC stands for Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Actually, that's just United States. I don't think that's California specifically. They've done some investigations and they have found evidence of what they've been calling a frat boy culture. Basically just some misogyny and sexual harassment and women being talked to and even touched inappropriately. Like it's bad. But the roast this week is this is PCgamer.com, Andy Chalk. The headline: Activision Blizzard finds, quote, no evidence, unquote, of widespread misconduct at Activision Blizzard. An investigation conducted by the board of directors acknowledges, quote, some substantiated instances of gender harassment, unquote, but concludes that the issues are not systemic. And I love just the first paragraph of this because I feel like Andy is being super sarcastic while trying to remain as unbiased as possible. Activision Blizzard says that an investigation conducted by Activision Blizzard has found no evidence of systemic gender-based misconduct at Activision Blizzard, or that Activision Blizzard management, quote, intentionally ignored or attempted to downplay, unquote, incidents of harassment at Activision Blizzard when they occurred. That is one sentence with Activision Blizzard 5 times. Anyway, The conclusion was shared by the company's board of directors in a June 16th filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchanges Commission. It begins by stating that, quote, the allegations in media and legal filings about our company were as distressing to us as they were to all of you, unquote, and obliquely acknowledges that there have been some instances of workplace misconduct. The filing also says, however, that individual experience does not necessarily reflect the larger picture and points at, quote, progressively stronger, more decisive, and coordinated steps, quote, unquote, it has taken, including leadership changes to address shortcomings and better reflect the diversity of its audience. And yet the company says that, quote, contrary to many of the allegations, unquote, there is, quote, no evidence to suggest that Activision Blizzard senior executives ever intentionally ignored or attempted to downplay the instances of gender harassment that occurred or were reported, unquote. You know, except for the testimonies of the women who said that they like tried to contact the CEO and no one ever said anything or responded to them, but you know, we're gonna ignore that. Anyway, moving on. The filing also states that media criticism of the company's executives was found to be, quote, without merit, unquote, and that, quote, while there are some substantiated instances of gender harassment, unquote, there's no evidence that harassment, discrimination, or retaliation were ever, quote, a systemic issue, unquote, at Activision Blizzard. This is the company that had a suite named after Bill Cosby. That's not systemic.
I like what Zeal said. He said that's one of the quote fixing the reputations. You're all wrong. We're entirely innocent. Our word is evidence because we say so. Thank you for getting this ever happened. Love, Activision Blizzard.
That's what this feels like. This is like
Yeah.
this is like this is the mother of all biased research. Like, I don't understand why they thought this was a good idea. Like, doing an internal investigation, fine, for your own sake to find these things. But to have the audacity to, in the face of everybody, both the equal employment, what was it? I keep the EEOC, and then also, you know what? I'm going to keep reading real quick. Parallel to this investigation, Activision Blizzard said it had former U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission Chairman Gilbert Casellas review data on, quote, investigated reports of gender harassment, unquote, in the U.S. between September 1st, 2016 and December 31st, 2021. Based on his review, Casella said that there is no widespread or systemic harassment at Activision Blizzard and claims that the level of misconduct experienced by employees is, quote, comparatively low, unquote, for a company of that size. From there, the filing lists individual changes Activision Blizzard has made in recent years to improve conditions for its employees, such as increasing the size of its ethics and compliance team, investing in more training, improving transparency on diversity and pay, and implementing new drug and alcohol policies for company events. But then it swerves into a frankly bizarre bit of self-defense, pointing the finger at, quote, the media, unquote, as the real cause of its problems. Quote, it must be said that the company has been subject to an unrelenting barrage of media criticism that attempts to paint the entire company and many innocent employees with the stain of a very small portion of our employee population who engaged in bad behavior and were disciplined for it, unquote, the filing says. Quote, much of this originated with the highly inflammatory made-for-press allegations of the DFEH. As our outside advisors made clear, the DFEH was not assigned to investigate harassment in its agreement with the EEOC, nor did it, in fact, complete an investigation into issues of harassment at Activision Blizzard, unquote. The DFEH is California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing, who, and moving on, filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard in July 2021 following a 2-year investigation that found a widespread quote-unquote frat boy culture at the company. The suit stated that, quote, women were subject to numerous sexual comments and advances, groping and unwanted physical touching, and other forms of harassment, unquote, and that complaints to the company's human resources department and executive team, quote, were treated in a perfunctory and dismissive manner and not kept confidential, unquote. The DFEH subsequently attempted to intervene in Activision Blizzard's $18 million settlement with the EEOC, saying it would, quote, irreparably harm, unquote, its own lawsuit against the company. A judge rejected the DFEH claim and approved the EEOC settlement in March. The DFEH lawsuit is scheduled to begin in February 2023. This whole article is probably worth reading because it's really complex and I don't really want to get into it. But I just also the fact that it's not actually the EEOC, it's one person at the EEOC. And also the fact that Blizzard is settling with the EEOC for $18 million. I don't pretend to be a lawyer. I don't understand how settlements work. This feels a little hush money like. Michaela, isn't it great that their comeback is, well, at least we're less sexist and abusive than any other company? That's true. Like, if their standard is the industry as a whole, we've kind of learned that the video game industry as a whole is kind of toxic. Even we're seeing people like Moon Studios, who made Ori and the Blind Forest, apparently has a toxic work culture, which is frustrating. But this is, yeah.
It,
Wait,
it re-
sorry, hold it. Unpack that in layman's. What exactly are you referring to, Zeal?
While he writes that out, it reminds me of like I guess to put it in a different way too. You could be like, whether it was Trump, Biden, Obama, George H.W. Bush, whoever you want to put, it would be like them getting an article written by their family saying that they were the best president ever because they're the best president ever because that's who they are and that's what they wrote. Like that's pretty much what's happening here. It's like Trump getting his family to write an article of why he's the best president ever and then posting it and be like, "See guys, I'm the best president ever. It says so right there. Look at that article. Don't worry about who it was written by, just read the
Mm-hmm.
words." And I mean it would work for any president, right? That's just it's not how it works,
The
I mean,
the only thing about this that gives it a little bit of credibility is the fact that the chair of, or I think, what was it, former chair, former U.S. Equal Opportunity Commission chairman. So it has a former chair of the EEOC reviewing it, but that's not the EEOC. That's someone who used to work from it. Oh, okay. Um, like I said, I don't pretend to be a lawyer. I don't pretend to understand all of this stuff. Zeal is asking for a rough breakdown of what I interpret from the language of the article. Um, what it sounds like to me is that AB did an internal investigation with whatever ethics board they've got and determined that there's no systemic problems. There's no sexism or any of that. And to bolster them, they got someone who used to work for the EEOC, who doesn't anymore. It says former U.S. chair of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, to review data of their company versus everybody else's company and conclude that there's no difference, basically, that Activision Blizzard is no worse. While at the same time, they are settling a lawsuit with the actual EEOC for $18 million so that it just goes away. Now, I understand that things get settled out of court all the time. That's how the court system works. Whether or not it should, who knows? I think it makes it easy for people with a lot of money to make things go away. I'm not sure if it's an arbitrator or just a third party. The article doesn't really make it clear. All it says is that Activision Blizzard claims it had former U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission Chairman Gilbert Casellas review data. So it sounds like it's a third party, not an official arbitrator, which makes it even just a little bit more sketch. Because why not get an actual, if you're that confident, why not get an actual audit, basically? It's not an audit, but get somebody to actually come in. But it looks like they've just gotten Casellas to do it. While at the same time, the FEOH is trying to make stuff happen, and they're getting thrown out of court by judges because there's already a settlement going on with the EEOC. This just feels, I don't know. I hesitate to launch a lot of criticism just because, again, I don't understand all the legalese behind it. I don't really understand the law behind it. It feels, it just feels like a company with a lot of money flexing its muscles to make something go away and to paint it to look as official as possible without actually getting any officials involved. Like this is like the mafia saying, we got the former head of the CIA to come in and he looked at all the data and said that we're no worse than, any other mafia. Like, it's one guy. People can be bought. Government officials can be corrupt. We know this. Like, and I'm not saying anything about Casellas. I don't know anything about him. I'm just saying having one person review data is not the same as having an official entity review data and audit your company. It's not the same thing. And it's so blatant and it's so cocky. And It's almost like if you don't laugh, you cry sort of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. They really need to get bought by Microsoft. I think I just want
I
them to be swallowed up and spit that guy out and just
But
start going fresh.
the problem with them getting bought by Microsoft is maybe Phil Spencer will be a better CEO, but they're still going to be allowed to kind of be their own thing under Microsoft. And also the people that are selling the company are walking away with all the profit. That's the problem. Is like, yes, things might
Right.
get better, but the people that need to be held responsible are getting paid for it. So like given given the choice between Activision Blizzard continuing to go along its merry way and do whatever it wants and potentially being brought under a more healthy, getting into whether or not Microsoft's coming monopoly of the gaming market is healthy or not, that's a different conversation. If theoretically a healthier market doesn't change the fact that people aren't being held responsible and there's not much we can do about it as consumers.
I know it's showing shut up zeal. Okay. I love Microsoft. And I I just think that getting new ownership will be the best. Like you said, yes, the people that are horrible get to walk away with a bunch of money, but at least they're walking away. At least they're getting out.
Right.
It sucks, but that's the way our world works. If you are high up in power, if you have enough sway, you don't get held responsible for your actions. We've learned that in multiple different areas. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to get political, but things happen. If you know somebody, if you have connections, who cares what you do? You get away with it. That's how the world works.
You
Um,
follow the money. Like you
exactly.
see it all the
If
time.
if
It's
you're sadly, if you're poor and you're from a bad neighborhood, if you steal a candy bar, you'll get thrown in prison, right? But if you're a richy rich and you're high up in power, you can do horrible things. You can oh man, I really want to go political. I'm not going to. You can do a lot of things and get away with it and just get a slap on the wrist or something like that because they don't want to mess with that because everybody in power has dirt and
right.
everyone kind of knows something about somebody else. So if I start showing yours, you're going to start showing mine, and I don't want that. So I'll let you go ahead and slide on this one, but you got to let me slide on that one. And that's how they do it.
The upper echelons of society have built themselves a house of cards that takes a very very delicate Michaela's quoting Hamilton, follow the money and see where it goes. Yeah, but like if it's not, if the balance is not kept, the whole thing can come crashing down. And so you see plays like this all the time. But it is interesting that she brings up Hamilton because it goes to show that stuff like this has always existed. It's just it's a part of human nature. It's when you get a nation together, you're gonna have scandals. You're gonna have the people that have money, and they're gonna control. It doesn't really matter. Even if you look at like the formations of society, it was the people that had the food before we really even had money. The people that had the food were over the people that were, harvesting and processing the food because they were there first, I guess. So,
Right.
oh boy,
Well, we've already been going for about 30
that was
minutes on
supposed
that.
to be just us making fun of Activision Blizzard, but it turned into more of a socioeconomic commentary on the
We
power.
had to unpack it. We had to dig into it a
There's a
little bit.
lot there, seriously. In fact, I'm gonna wait. Hold it. I can't do this. I want to drop the link. If you guys are watching on YouTube or check it out when you're listening later, I'll have all the links to this. I recommend reading this whole article because I can't get into all the details on the podcast. There's a lot here, and I don't want to pretend like I just gave the entire run through. I don't want to misrepresent anybody. So I recommend reading through it to get the picture yourself. But that's what I picked up on as I was reading.
Right.
Oh,
Um, so there's really no great way to do it. But hey, Microsoft, let's jump into what
thank
they
you,
used
Zio.
to be.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm gonna hop in real quick, and this is from
this is
comicbook.com.
complete opposite side of the spectrum.
I'm just flowing with it,
Yeah.
right? This roast is brought to you by 3 Avocados. You'll be done after this, but another thought, and but last thought, another case where some rich dude decides that several women are clearly wrong. Clearly wrong. Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much how
Yeah.
it goes, right? Like I said, if you got money, you got power, you can do what you want. Everyone else, get screwed. Like, poor choice of words. Everyone else just, sucks to suck type thing. Like, they just don't care about anyone, and it's frustrating. Um, but that's why I hope that Phil Spencer will be um, a better fit, and hopefully be able to take care of some of that stuff. Yes, they're going to work separate, but hopefully he can at least clean it up. Um, but speaking of Phil Spencer, Xbox. Speaking of Xbox, the 360. Speaking of the 360, over on comic book gaming, by Cade Onder, I don't know names.
Onder. I would just say
Um,
Cade Onder.
uh, this is Xbox remakes classic Xbox 360 era game pictures for the new consoles. Xbox has remade some of the most iconic gamer pictures from the 360 era. With the arrival of Xbox 360 in 2005, Xbox Live got a pretty big upgrade. There was more ownership over your account throughout the Xbox 360 era, with the ability to create party chats, make bios, change your gamer tag, and much more. One of the most distinguishing factors was the ability to change your profile picture, also known as a gamer picture. There were a handful of distinct ones created by Xbox for players to choose from, and then players could buy additional ones. Many of the ones available a la carte were used to help promote movies, TV shows, and video games, but given how popular the 360 was, many just held on to the original gamer picks. Some of these were generic as a soccer ball, but others had much more flavor to them. Many even associated the pictures with specific types of players, whether it be marks of toxicity or something else, they had a character to them. Xbox has remade a couple of these classics 360 era gamer pictures, something that may trigger some nostalgia and long-time Xbox fans. Xbox has remade the picture of the boy with the beanie who is blowing bubble from his mouth and a cute panda bear, except they've given the panda bear a controller um, and a headset this time. It's currently unclear if more remakes of these classic pictures are coming, but it seems likely if there's a big response to these that there will be more. Now, I don't like the remakes because they don't quite look exactly like they did on the 360.
Okay, I
Um,
actually don't know what the original ones looked. Yeah, Zeal, accurate. Yes. About your choice of words. I don't know what the original ones looked like. Xbox Panda Gamer icon. I want to see this. Okay, I didn't actually have a an Xbox 360, so I didn't know any of these.
uh,
It does look very different.
it's one of those things though that when I think back at the 360, I remember just so much fun and craziness and everything. And seeing these little icons, it makes me think of names. Like one of them was called Killer Whale. He was a friend of mine that joined, and his mom found out that he had friends that he did not know. And he was only like 14 at the time. I was 18. And so his mom kicked him off, and I got deleted. And I was like, that's so sad. I
Oh,
get a year later, I got a message from a random person and was like, hey, this is Killer Whale using a different account my mom doesn't know about. Let's be friends on this account. And I was
the
like, oh man.
drama.
So I added them back, but I ended up going to the Xbox One after that. That was right when everything was switching over, and I haven't heard from him since.
Oh,
Um, there was a guy, his name was Dwayne. We always called him The Rock. He wasn't really The Rock, but it was just funny. And we would play games together. We talk about crap that happened in life that neither of us knew how to fix, and then we go play Halo. So seeing these pictures does bring back some of that nostalgia, and just I mean, I could go off on names like I Wanted to Be Bobo, Rush the Crow, like all these different people that I've played with that I gave probably more of my life story to than most of my friends because I played with them 4, 5, 10 hours a day sometimes, just
yeah.
because they were there.
Mhm.
And that's really where games can draw people together is when you can look at a picture and it floods you with memories and good memories and bad memories. There was a girl that we talked down from suicide one night on the game system
Holy
on party
moly.
chat, just five of us talking to her, trying to calm her down. She had a really rough day at school. I mean, these chats in the 360 got intense,
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
it was just one of those things where none of us knew what life meant. None of us knew how to get through it. So we just tried to bull crap our way through it best we could together type thing.
Yeah.
But it was a place where we could get together and realize none of us had it figured out. So we weren't alone. So I know this was just about pictures and gamer tags or icons and stuff, but it really is much more than that. And I'm really excited. Even though they don't look like the OG ones, they still can bring back that nostalgia. I don't know if we'll ever get that same level of um, toxicity as well as friendship because they went hand in hand in these parties. But we can hope that one day maybe gaming will get back to that. Maybe it's just not there because I'm older and it's like Christmas. It kind of in a way loses its
Mhm.
magic. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Gosh. Maybe one of these stories we won't get deep, man.
Sorry, I just that's how I feel
Maybe
about the
we'll.
360, man. It
No,
was
you're right.
amazing.
No,
It was a great
it's a
time.
big deal. Yeah,
But
that's I there's a part of me that is sad I missed that. There's a part of me that feels like I was such a fragile like 14, 15-year old that would have been a terrible, terrible addition to my life. But I still do feel like I've missed out on something. So, cuz like this doesn't really mean much to me. I didn't have a 360. But it's cool to see them kind of paying homage to their past, kind of like the Red Ring of Death poster they released.
yeah, well it that was a whole nother story. But yeah, it's like it was like Modern
Michaela's
Warfare
just
2 lobbies.
on the song quotes right now. Sorry.
Rip sense of wonder and all. And we need a little Christmas, right?
And
Um,
we need a little Christmas right this very
that's
minute.
gonna be stuck
Anyway.
on my head now. um, but no, it's the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies got so toxic, but it was so funny. And now you just report someone and they get their whole account taken away. Back then, you could get someone's account taken away. Trust me, it's happened to people. But it wasn't as easy. Like you could be like, "Hey, they said this," and they just be like, "Well, they're probably right," and you're like, "What? You're supposed to be stopping the toxicity." But
Okay. All right. Hold it. Before we get too far into this, I would like to point out that that wasn't necessarily a good thing. The fact that people could get
no,
away
oh
with
no,
saying
no, no,
whatever they
no, no.
wanted.
I'm not saying
We
that. But
just got done talking about Activision Blizzard. We're not going to go say,
what
I
I'm
miss when you could insult people's mother and not have to worry about repercussions. Like,
what I'm saying is none of it was taken to heart to be none of it was meant seriously. Like you could say something and it totally be in jest, which doesn't make it right. But people took it as a joke and they just moved on about their day. Like one guy, this just happened to me, Elden Ring. We started an argument through the chat system on the Xbox Series X, and we were going at each other, and we mentioned each other's moms is what we did. And at the end of it, I wrote him back, and I said, "Hey man," I said, "Thanks for that." I said, "It reminded me of the 360 days. You're cool, bro." And he responded, he goes, "You're totally right. Totally brought me back to that nostalgia. You're good too, bro." And like we walked away. Like neither of us were mad. Like he came and hit me with "get good, bro," because all you did was use a crap weapon, and I was like, "Crap weapon? I still beat you with a crap weapon. Like bring it." Like and then we just start like throwing insults. But that's the type of thing I mean is where it's in a way like we need to get rid of toxicity, and I'm not advocating for it. But in the other way, we should be able to joke with each other to a certain extent. There is always crossing lines, and that happens a lot.
mhm.
But I like my daughter. I want to raise her to take no crap from anybody, but at the same time be willing to not overreact to certain things. And I feel like sometimes someone calls us a jerk and we flip out and we're like ban them,
Mhm.
and then people are like, oh snap, someone was offended, we banned them.
There
There's a
is,
line you
yeah,
have to walk.
there is something to be said for being aware that sometimes people are just awful, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to harm you. I will say, I think more often than not, that sort of joking tends to go too far and can create a culture in which more harm can be done without repercussion. So that's why I'm a little bit like, like I get it. Sometimes but like I've never been a huge fan of the whole boys will be boys argument. Because I feel like we can just teach people to be nice. I've never really understood the appeal of jokes like that, but that's might be more of a personal thing. Um, all that to say is I understand why we've kind of swung so hard the other direction, because for so many years we've just had cultures where like, oh, it's just a joke, it's just a prank, bro, it's just a joke, and we treat it like, well, yeah, locker room talk. So, and is that is toxic, and that does lead to harm. That doesn't necessarily mean that people joking about other people's moms on the Xbox lobby led to like the sexual harassment at Activision Blizzard. I'm not
Right.
saying that. I'm saying that I can see where that sort of environment consistently could lead to attitudes that later on in life become more harmful. So I understand
Right.
why we've swung so hard the other way.
Well,
But
and
also there is something to be said for understanding that, yeah, sometimes people say stupid stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean anything about you, and having confidence in who you are as a person and knowing that even if they did mean it maliciously, that doesn't need to affect you. Um,
Well, and it comes
yeah,
down to as well, like, and like Zeal said, emotional maturity that exists. Exactly. Like, people need to be, I think it comes down to making you secure in who you are. And a lot of times teenagers aren't secure in who they are because they don't have anyone to teach them to be that way.
right.
I think that's why, man, this is getting real deep. But when families are split, or you don't have a certain, whether it's a mother figure or a father figure in the home, when you're missing a certain component, sometimes that affects the family, and that affects
Mhm.
how kids respond. And so you never know what that person's going through, and your joke can push over the edge.
Right.
And for me, with my last name, and no, my last name is not Jay for anybody that doesn't know. But with my last name, I had to grow up, and when I went to football, it was one of those things where my parents were like, look, tough luck. This is what, if you want to play football, this is what you got to deal with.
Mhm.
And so I had to learn to understand that they didn't mean it maliciously. They were just being stupid. And I moved past. I still deal with that when I'm in a sales position, walking into a house and be like, "Hi, my name's Josh Venus." They go like that, but it's a talking point. I talk about it. We move past it. We go on, and I sell them a product. So
Right.
it really comes down to, like Zeal said, being emotionally mature, but also not piling on to someone that you don't know what their situation is. And you
Right.
don't want to be that straw that breaks their back and makes them do something that they regret and you regret for egging it on.
Mhm.
Why did we
It's
get so deep?
I have no idea. I feel like we've been like kind of off for a couple weeks, and then we came
Woo!
in swinging this week.
Like,
Um,
hello.
but no, yeah, this could honestly be a whole episode in and of itself. Like that blend of where is like healthy joke, because like sometimes there was a conversation I was reading with a couple friends. I wasn't partaking. It was Geeks Under Grace. They were chatting, and they were talking about how sometimes when people will be like, "Oh, this was I had terrible like." Oh, I spilled my drink. I was just gonna go kill myself now. Like that sort of like flippant suicide joke. A lot of people get really upset about that because joking about suicide, it's a serious issue. But they were saying for some people that are actually like really feeling that way, sometimes that's a way of like just blowing off steam, because if they're talking about it, it means that they're not thinking about it. Michaela misses what we were talking about drugs. Yeah, what you
I'm
wouldn't
gonna
rather
need
us
drugs
have
after this episode.
deep conversations about emotional maturity and workplace culture? Yeah, but they were just saying that like sometimes morbid joking is a way of people coping with that sort of thing, and it wasn't something I necessarily agreed with, but it was a perspective I'd never thought about.
Right.
What it would be like to be in that place and just to be able to like joke about it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. Psychiatrist, psychologist. I don't know which is the appropriate term. Those are two different things.
You're
But
not either. Either way, you're not either of them. Moving on to actual
can we
games.
talk about Sonic now, please?
Yes.
Gosh. Well, never mind. This is a fan theory about Sonic having amnesia. So,
Run through it real quick, like Sonic
run,
speed.
run through it. Yeah. Okay. Thegamer.com, Rhiannon Bevan. I don't know. We're gonna go with Bevan. Sonic fans think that Sonic Frontiers will be set in Sonic's memories. Early Sonic Frontiers footage has been met with mixed reception so far. Gameplay trailers have mostly failed to inspire hype, even if those that have had the opportunity to try it for themselves seem to be loving it. And yet, we still know very little about the story, leaving a lot of room for fans to come up with their own theories. One of the latest theories that's come out, excuse me, oh, one of the latest theories that's come out since we were given more footage is that we're in for a pretty trippy experience. Some fans are floating the idea that Frontiers will take place in Sonic's memories as he explores his previous adventures and pieces together what's happened to him and his friends. This would track with what we've seen so far, as Sonic seems to have issues with his memory and has to be guided through the open world by the disembodied voice of Amy. The theory was first shared by Twitter user at AL_the boy. I love reading Twitter handles, and is based on the fact that gameplay footage shows stages from previous games, such as Sky Sanctuary and Green Hill Zone. Others agree, suggesting that Frontiers will heavily reference previous Sonic games as the blue blur repairs his memory. Of course, a Sonic game featuring returning levels would be nothing new. Both Sky Sanctuary and Green Hill Zone have appeared in dozens of games, for example. However, there's definitely something a whole lot wackier happening in Frontiers, with the premise revolving around Tails and Amy falling through a wormhole. This would also make sense from a gameplay standpoint. Frontiers will have a skill tree, which could perhaps mean that Sonic has to relearn abilities he has forgotten how to use. In any case, we'll find out for sure when Sonic Frontiers launches later this year. It will be available to play on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. So,
Dang it, Robert.
yeah.
You quoted me.
This looks like it could be very interesting. I've honestly been excited for Sonic Frontiers since I first heard about it. I'm a little over open world games, but I feel like of all gameplay styles to try it, Sonic's is a perfect fit, and it kind of surprises me they haven't done this before.
Yeah.
His whole thing is going fast and doing acrobatics. So if they can get that movement down in the open world, it could be really fun. Another issue I've always had with Sonic games within the past like 10, 15 years is stories suck. Pretty much all of them. The last halfway decent story we got was probably the Adventure series. The storybook series was okay. Sonic and the Secret Rings had a decent-ish story. But like, I never played Sonic Forces, but I heard the story and that was bad. Sonic Colors, it didn't have a great story, but the gameplay was at least good. So I think this sounds like it could be an interesting, like, sort of emotionally mature Sonic game without going full Sonic 06 edgy material.
I want them
Um,
to add Tails with his plane and use that as a fast travel thing. You
hmm,
call Tails, he comes and picks you up for fast travel, even though
that would be
technically you're
cool.
probably faster than his plane. But it'd still
Yeah.
be cool. It'd be cool to
I
have
will
him in there.
say, I watched the footage. The game, IGN just posted like a first look at the beginning of June. It does look kind of rough. If this was footage we were seeing 2 to 3 years before the release, I wouldn't be worried. I'm a little worried given how close we are to release. Like we were saying, it could be an old build, and I'm hoping and praying it is. But overall, it does kind of have a lifeless look. Like a lot of people were saying, well, Breath of the Wild was empty. Breath of the Wild wasn't empty. Like it was, there were some expanses with nothing, but there was always something to find. And the art style made it pop. There were little flourishes of color and fairies, and like it had a cell shaded art style. This kind of looks like a generic Unity engine game, and it looks a little drab. So I'm a little worried.
But
I,
everybody that's played it said they loved it so far.
Yeah. That's why
So
I'm still planning on trying it. I'm thinking I'm gonna pick it up. I don't buy a whole lot of new games, but I'm kind of a long-term Sonic fan. I'm probably gonna pick this one up. Just to try it, just to give it a shot. But
um I might try it. I mean, depending on what you think of it. Or if it's on Game Pass, I'll for sure try it. But
I don't think it'll come to Game Pass.
Sonic has never grabbed me.
Mhm.
I played the one where you start. It was on the Sega Dreamcast. You run away from the killer whale that eats the beach.
Yeah, it's Sonic
Here,
Adventure.
yeah, I played Sonic Adventure, so I played that one. But other than that, and I think I got all the way up to where you're on um, the hover, like it looks like the thing from Avengers that floats in the air, and you got to go free Amy and Knuckles from the cells.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the egg the egg carrier.
yeah.
I
So I
played
got
Sonic Adventure so much as a kid.
yeah, I got to that point, and I don't think I ever made it past that. So
It does kind of look like the helicarrier now that you mention it.
yeah.
It's weird.
um, are you done with the Sonic then? Are we
Yeah,
moving on?
yeah, we can
Okay.
move on.
So trying to get through this as quick as we can. And a Korok under every rock. What? I missed something.
Oh, from Breath of the Wild. Michaela was saying that like Breath of the
Oh,
Wild had little flourishes and a Korok under every rock. The problem is though, it
gotcha.
wasn't under every rock. There were 900 of them, but you couldn't find any of them anyway.
This is over on Games Radar by Hope Bellingham. It says, how long is Starfield? Bethesda says 30 to 40 hours for the main quest. That's bigger than Skyrim and Fallout 4's main quest line. It's 20% bigger than Bethesda's previous titles. In an interview with IGN, Bethesda's boss and Starfield director Todd Howard revealed that the upcoming space RPG's main quest is bigger than some of the company's previous games, such as Fallout 4 and Skyrim. Quote, this one's ending up a little bit longer, and we may than our previous games, and we may tune that some still. It is more quests, so it might be 20% more than our previous ones, end quote. To put that into perspective, it takes 25 and a half hours to complete Skyrim Special Edition main quest, while Fallout 4 takes just a little longer, around 27 hours. Starfield might be in the 30s, maybe even 40s, Howard told IGN, but of course, player mileage will cause this time to vary. As all Bethesda players know, through 30 to 40 hours on the main quest is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of total playtime due to the numerous side quests and other potential extras that will also keep the players coming back. In fact, as revealed during the recent Xbox and Bethesda showcase, Starfield will have more than 100 systems and over 1,000 planets to explore, although fans are divided on whether this is a good thing or not. Another thing that will give Starfield some longevity is the modding scene, which is all too familiar to Bethesda fans and even Todd Howard. Quote, we've learned that people do play our games for really, really long times, end quote. Howard said in the same interview, certainly we're going to be doing extra content for this game, and we love our modding community. We actually think this game for our modding community is going to be a dream, as there's so much that they could do. So it sounds like that they're going to open this up to modding, which is super exciting
Yeah,
because
no
even on the
kidding.
Xbox, they allowed modding for the Xbox version of Skyrim. So you can download all the computer mods on Xbox, except I think for the multiplayer mod.
Mm,
Um,
which doesn't
but
make any sense, but whatever.
right. With that being said, um, I'm excited for this. To me, I was a little whelmed by what they showed. Um,
Yeah, it wasn't quite what it looked kind of like, just more fleshed out No Man's Sky a little bit.
yeah, and I'm I'm excited. Like if they have a co-op on this game, I'm going to be all over it. I'm going to be excited. But if not, like the whole building everything seems cool to me. Um, but it really does feel a lot like No Man's Sky. The thing that would make this one stand out is the fact that they said they have four massive cities, but only four massive cities for 1,000 planets. That doesn't seem like enough. Which they might have smaller outposts and things like that. But I want if they're gonna have 1,000 planets, they need to make me feel like I need to go visit every planet. No
Right.
Man's Sky doesn't give you that purpose, which is why I haven't played it as much. It,
Mhm.
now,
Really, the point of No Man's Sky is getting to the center.
right.
The whole point is moving forward, not visiting.
Right. And so if this one is all about trying to explore what they have, because they put in a limited number, it's not procedural. I mean, I'm sure some of it is, but they said they've put more handcrafted work into this game than all of their games combined.
I can imagine.
So if they truly did be intentional on where they're placing certain outposts for the most part, right?
Mhm.
And quest lines, like if you go to the farthest reaches of the system and find a planet and it's barren and you find one little shack, the only way to find it is by scanning for it, trying to walk to it, and it's a guy there that has, he's an old bounty hunter and he has a bounty on his head or something like that. It gives you like, I don't know, a million credits, whatever. Like they need to do something like that where you find something that is so worth finding that you're like, that was worth the 5 hours I went finding
Mhm.
nothing to find that. So then you
Well,
go explore.
so they have a really unique opportunity here to bring back something that, speaking of things that died in our childhoods, video game rumors. We live in a world We live in a society. Are we getting? Are they people going to be getting ads in a second? Do we need to pause?
I think if we just hurry and finish within
Okay.
5-10 minutes, we'll be okay.
Okay. Um, Back in like the 90s, we live in a world where we know everything there is to know about every game because of hacking, because of decompiling, because of PC gaming. People can get their hands on a game, rip it apart, and find everything. Back in like the 90s, when you couldn't do that, kids' imaginations ran wild. There's the L is real in Mario 64. People were like, you can't unlock Luigi. You couldn't. But everybody had a way of doing it. There was Mew under the truck in Pokemon Red and Blue. There was Red and Blue. Yeah, Red and Blue is red and green is Japanese. There was, what's under Master Chief's helmet. We didn't know. Like all of these things were just like, well, there were rumors. We talked about it. There were ways to unlock it. And then every once in a while, like in Skyrim, when we got a little older and games got bigger, people were like, dude, I found this thing. And you'd talk about it and you'd share your stories and you'd be like, oh, yeah, well, I found this thing. Oh, I want to go find that out. We haven't had that in so long because people just rip games apart. We had a little bit of that with Elden Ring. People were talking about the things that they found and shared, and it was a
Yep.
little bit of a resurgence of that video game rumor, like story building that we do ourselves. Bethesda has the opportunity to make that happen again with Starfield, of people talking about the things that they find on these planets that make people want to go out and find it for themselves or share their experiences. And maybe everybody's got a different experience with this game. I think they can make it happen if they're careful with the way that they let you explore these planets. But right now, that sense of like rumor and wonderment, that died. That kind of died with the 90s. But I think with we're getting ads. I've got the stream up down below. But I think we'll see a little bit of a resurgence of that. Hopefully.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And like you said, we did have that a little bit with Elden Ring, but it did die pretty much right after that. Like, I mean, that was the only glimpse that we had of people finding something and being like, oh, finally we have a game. And that's why I think it got so much of that drive and so many people going to it. Even people that didn't do that type of game, they wanted to experience that all over again. In order to find that thing, you had to go onto Reddits or Facebook pages to figure it out because the game
Mhm.
was not going to help you.
Right.
Um, and now a lot it's even harder to do things like that just because we have so much access to it. So it like you can look it up on YouTube, you can look it up on Facebook, Reddit, wherever, and you'll find a way to get it. Whereas before, to find it, like, or you
Mhm.
had to have your buddy come to your house, give him the controller, and let him do it because he found it by a buddy showing him, and so on and so forth.
I
Um,
felt I felt really dumb. I was playing Skyward Sword yesterday, and I just kept Googling how to do stuff because I didn't want to search around Skyloft, which is this really, really small hub world. But I didn't want to do the work. Um,
right,
so
exactly.
we're kind of lazy in that sense. Yeah.
But is the ads done on the?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, if you don't want to hit subscribe, no. Usually we try to keep it under that hour so that we avoid
Yeah,
losing
sorry.
viewers.
It was the roast of the week that put us over.
We have to have those ads. We're not allowed to get rid of them. If we could, we would. It's not in our hands to do that. So I do
Yeah,
it to
sorry
where in the
guys.
first 5 minutes when the countdown's going, you get the ads, and then you don't get any more. That way, if you're not subscribed, you don't have to watch them because I just don't want people trying to. If they want to check out the stream, I want them to be able to hop right in and see it and
Right.
not have to watch a 30 to minute long ad of Raid Shadow Legends play today. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway. But that's our episode. So thank you guys
Oh
so
boy.
much for sticking it out with us and suffering through this heavy
Suffering.
week, but also,
I feel like this
well,
was one of
the
our better
heaviness.
episodes. It was
Oh,
heavy.
it was fun, but it was heavy.
Yeah, it was a
Thank
little
you,
heavy.
Cody, for the subscription. I hope you enjoyed it. And if
Hopefully we'll
not,
see you back.
sorry. Hopefully you forget to
Hopefully you
unsubscribe.
didn't regret
No.
subscribing.
It sounds like he's checked it out before. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, we hope you guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of your few hours of weekend that you have before you start another long work week. Gosh. and drink lots of coffee, play lots of video games, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.